the stupid thing. Thank you, Jan. One of the stupid things that we did is that if you want a menu inside the menu, you would just call itself. Right? It's technically accurate, like there
Does
is.
this run the command as a sub process or does it exec?
Uh, i- uh, no, it's a sub process. So when you exit this shell, you are going to come back to this shell, right? So like the restart web service, and here's the command for that: reboot shell, and we actually had shell for the customers, so they can pop into a shell. This was very useful when we were building our appliance, actually. So yeah, it feels like I have all of the building blocks for you. I just need to finish the template part for Jailer so you can have that. Oh, and it's VT100 compliant. I totally forgot about that.
Okay.
That was like our engineer spent a whole week. He's like, I'm gonna make this 100% VT100 compliant with the colors and the blinking and everything. So
VT100 doesn't have colors.
what does it have? No, it has blinking.
Yes, but no colors. That's
Oh.
monochrome display.
Maybe this is VT20 220 or something.
Oh,
This
interesting.
is Farazware.
You probably added ANSI escape sequences.
Yeah, it's ANSI escape sequences. There you
Is
go.
this some of Faraz's work, is it?
No, this is some of Faraz. Faraz did do some work on this. Yeah,
Yeah.
Faraz and
Well, the
Norad. Yeah.
That's
undead
totally him. I'm
Pascal.
going to make this work and then spend like a week making it work, because it's the right thing to do. Excellent.
Yeah, and I mean and I have no idea what this is. Someone made a pull request. I had no idea.
So I think what we need is to do like a hackathon, maybe
Yeah.
not a physical one, but like a virtual one where we pick up all of these things that are already there and build our own appliance
Proxmox.
engine on top of FreeBSD and ports. So just go ports, install the appliance engine, and then all of these things are there.
Yeah.
And then we have that. It's such a FreeBSD thing. It's almost like we have a toolbox of all the things we need to build
Yeah.
an appliance. Yeah, funny.
Well, that's one of the things I was talking about, like ZVolt is like what I really want ZVolt to be is to be PKG install ZVolt. Like that's what I really want, And our product was literally that. It was FreeBSD and our packages. Like we were doing package base before package base existed, kind of, because from our point of view, FreeBSD was a package base. Our packages were our own packages. So it was kind of neat doing it that way. And it also, by the way, makes the upgrade process easier. Like whenever there was a new FreeBSD version, the TrueNAS folks would need to do some black magic to release a new version of it. While in our case, we're like, oh, here's the new base image. We're just putting our packages on top of that, and now it's an appliance. Yeah. That's a good point, Dave. I feel like I really, really, really should be working on the image feature of Jailer because I don't like the OCI model. I don't like the Bastille model. I don't like whatever exists right now. Let me put it that way. I don't know what I like. Like I don't know what an image is. We talked about this like a couple of months ago. I still don't know what an image is. It's kind of a semi-philosophical technical topic, but I still don't know what an image should be. And that question is leaving me behind. I don't know how to solve that problem, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, and that's the challenge that I was having is there's so many tools, everything from jail.conf to, all the different add-ons that have come and gone over the years.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure what's the best way to go about it because the joke that I think, that Michael Lucas made in the book was like, everyone's rolled their own scripts for jail management.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to go down that path because there's so many good tools out there, but I
Yeah.
didn't know which tool would be the best for this use case.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
I've tinkered with the pod jail manager.
Me too,
It
yeah.
can probably do what you want, but you would have to write your own recipes. Once you have them, someone else could be trained. If they've ever used the CLI interface, they could be trained within 30 minutes to use it on an already configured host tool. add something to it. Probably the same is true for Bastille, but I haven't given it a fair try, so I can't speak to it. It's a feature set.
This is what my production looks like. I don't know if this would be of any interest to you, but
Right now,
this is what my production looks like with the jailer. You know, these
Okay.
are jails, and each have their own JID, obviously, and each have their own host name, obviously, IPv4, IPv6, truncated because there's too many IPv6. And this is what I ended up with, which is a monstrosity, but the idea is that the user should never see it. This is what the jail, that's ugly. Let's do colors. Come on, Antranik, it's not the 70s anymore. Oh, I have no colors in my Vim. Never mind. Okay, so
Turn on.
what? How do I do it?
Turn on.
CIN?
Syntax, just 3 letters. Syn.
Thank you.
Hmm?
I have no syntax files.
What?
Are you randomly generating the interface name there?
Yes. What I did is each jail has an internal UUID, which is not an actual UUID. It's actually the first part of an actual UUID.
Good.
And then this is what the hard-coded value is for the jail. And before starting, we check if it exists, we destroy it. And then we create it, basically. And
Yeah,
it's,
good.
yeah.
Because that's been one of my pet peeves with the other jailing tooling,
yes.
especially
Yes.
when you're switching from host to host, like taking
Exactly my problem. I'm like, well, I already have EPR10 there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but in this case, I don't care. Like, I just create a random one at boot, and I just rename it to what it's supposed to be. So,
Yeah, the only thing I would probably say that would make more sense than a UUID, even though UID is probably a lot safer, it's somehow taking the name of the jail so you know which interface belongs to what very easily.
oh, we tried that. You know what the problem was? I had an employee who had a jail name as long as his family name, and you've seen Armenian family names, how long they go. And turns out the interface name is limited to 15 characters.
Like maybe truncate X amount of characters and then slap on a UUID if there's a collision.
Not enough characters.
Not enough characters? Yeah, I guess so, Jan. I guess so.
ASCII encoded UUID is about all you can fit.
Yeah.
You basically have to truncate it or use
look at the interface.
non-hex encoding.
But I do this, by the way. So let's say if the jail name was arm2txt, it's in the description. I always keep the description, so like at least I know what each of these things are.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and the description is arbitrary. I think it can go up to like 4,096 characters.
I didn't know that there was a description field. You just
It's
said
an amazing feature.
I can like put like a whole JSON document in here and use it as a.
It's not that long.
I think it's 4,096. It isn't?
I think 255 or 1,024, but
I mean, how hard would it be? How hard would it be to just change the number?
The problem is that those numbers are hard-coded in ABIs, and tools expect that their hard-coded buffer fits it.
Yeah.
So you're effectively breaking a minor part of the ABI. Stuff will get truncated or potentially without the previously safe to assume null byte within the fixed site buffer. Suddenly you would get an unterminated read. And then you would read over the end and all kinds of.
You know what I would have wanted? You know what I would have wanted? Technically, if you look at this, this is a key value store. Flags value, key value, value. I wanted to have arbitrary keys, so I could have like, environment, column, production. And then I would do like if config, give me all of my interfaces that belong to production.
Yeah, ifconfig is not going to do that.
But like,
we do have
we
groups.
have some part of it. Like, yeah, we can do groups. Yes.
So,
ePair.
yes, every
One day we
cloner,
can put a
so
metadata field in.
driver from which you can create a pseudo interface, is a group. And the only way you can tell if something is created by the cloner from user space is by trusting that it's a member of this group. If you remove a cloned interface from its cloner group, you get the confusion you deserved.
And there is, I think it's -a
G, lowercase.
G ePair -L. Okay, but there was also exclusion.
Oh, and do you want to? Yeah, that's mega.
I
If
swear
you
to
see
God,
here,
there's exclusion.
Yep. Or if you want something other really ugly, if you do an ifconfig-L,
Yeah.
It separates the interfaces with spaces. If you add the group, it separates them with new lines. Why? Because consistency can't be added retroactively.
Yes. I swear to God, I have that problem in my code. I swear to God, I have it somewhere. Illuria installer, ifconfig. Those are the default values. I think somewhere in here I should have like, oh, check if the, oh, this is the installer script. Never mind. Check what the interfaces are and stuff like that. Like it's a very stupid way to build it, but yeah, what are you gonna do? I think it's in here. No idea. Oh yeah. Yes, it is. What is this? What am I looking at? Wizard. There we go. Ifconfig. Yeah, there you go. So ifconfig list everything except LO interfaces. So that's the syntax apparently.
Yes, uppercase G excludes something.
Yeah. A G.
I don't remember which one takes priority.
So now I have only the non-ePair interfaces. So, I think you should be able to give it multiple times, but I might be wrong. Bridge. Yeah, you can. And then if I do also tap, see if oh no, now the ePairs are appearing. Jesus. So many low-hanging fruits. Okay. Anyways. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show.
How GetOpt works by default.
Yeah.
Capture the last value for this option. It's simple GetOpt.
Phil, Phil, what were you feeling that was lacking in I don't want to talk about CBSD because that's not a GL management, that's like host management. Like that one is massive.
Yeah, that seemed to be a bit overkill. And I haven't explored it completely to see what, everything that's needed.
Yeah.
So I couldn't say here's what was missing because I haven't spent the time on it. It's more of a hobby to think of, this idea.
Yeah. So, and I'm okay with that. Like the CBSD being massive, I think is okay because they do their own thing and a lot of people like that. That's fine. I'm trying to understand why Bastille BSD was.
I've only tinkered with it enough to see that it works.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try that. That's one of the things that looks very appealing with the automation template idea. So most likely that's the next step I'm going to be looking at that, and probably, as you brought up Jailer, to see what are the differences between those two ideas. Because really the key thing is that I can use ZFS, BSD, to make it so that it is reasonably easy to use and easy to deploy for non-technical folks.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you the philosophical difference, which is very easy. And this was, again, we existed before Bastille, so it wasn't like a Bastille thing. I loved Docker when it was very young and hated it when it was common because it was abstracting everything away, while what I wanted was automation, not abstraction. Does that make sense?
Oh,
And
yeah.
the same thing was with Bastille. It does like abstract things away. A very simple idea. Jailer doesn't have a daemon. Like there is no service jailer start. We were just automating the generation of the jail files. Right. So like very small things like that, that from an operator perspective, it makes a difference. That was kind of my thing. Like for me, Docker became very developer oriented. I want something that's operator oriented, not the developer. Like the developer part is easy, just write good code. You know, how hard could that be? But the operator is still a problem even in the Linux world. People have done Kubernetes, but that's a whole other story, I guess. Okay, I see. Yeah, this is kind of a motivation for me. I should really do the image thing, but I still don't know how to do it. Maybe during
Nikolai,
one. Yes, dear.
can you bring up the last link I put in the chat? The
Yes.
shared screen.
Yes.
So one of the differences is tools like Bastille kind of replace jail.conf with their configuration.
Yeah.
Whereas Jailer generates you very large jail.confs.
Yeah, like
So in theory, I
here.
think you claim that you can uninstall Jailer after it has done its thing and everything
Absolutely.
should continue to work.
Absolutely.
Which also means that you kind of have to duplicate all the logic every time you use it and put it in the jail.conf. You cannot
Yeah.
just call an external script because
Yeah.
you do not trust that it exists.
Yeah.
Which is also, of course, a problem whenever you want to fix some detail.
Yeah, like right now I'm writing a migration script where it would,
Now you
yeah,
have to
yeah,
kind
where
of
it
patch
would
existing code because you never
exactly,
abstracted over.
exactly.
You
Like
put
one of those should use the old format. I think I can find it, by the way, using ifconfig, of course. ePair, where are you, ePair? Regular ePair. This belongs to Collabora. So Collabora here, it uses the old jail format, jail.conf thing. So now I'm writing a script where basically parses all of the data that I need and converts it to the new one, which is fancier and has better security and better automation, right? So again, this is like the curse of my own doing, you know. I am like, oh, let's automate, and now okay, now I have too much to automate.
Yeah.
But it's also neat because like every time the jail team adds a new feature, like the include, I just start using it. Like here now I just do this. While historically I had to do like jail list equals the name of the jail, you know. Now I don't need to do that anymore. Now I can just do enable disable without modifying CSRC. So
By
that's
moving
kind
the file in and out of a directory.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think what I do is using, I don't have anyone here. I do this, disabled, that's it. Internally that's what it does. Yeah. Another one, at least for me, was the IPv6 support. I don't know if the others do proper IPv6. Maybe they do. I just have never been able to test.
Pod does it mostly.
Yeah.
Jail.conf does it,
Yeah.
but kind of by virtue of not doing much. So it doesn't get in your way, but it also doesn't help you a lot.
So this one has IPv6. Yeah. How does it do it? It just I did this. Yeah, I forgot. And thank you, Jan. This was like the idea to find this out is like, okay, here's IPv6 and then do router solicitation. So it works.
So one of the problems with your approach is that you kind of have to do a lot of stuff via very ugly, repetitive shell scripting and
Yeah.
the exec hooks. And certain things you really can't do dynamically because you have to put them in parameters.
Yep.
In JLConf, and so parameters are static. And
Yep.
that's, in my opinion, a problem with this approach. But I would like to be able to take it further. So I created a review which has moved forward in a while.
Yep.
to add the ability to jail.conf to execute the configuration file if it's executable. So when you include a file and it's executable, instead of just reading the script, it will execute the script and pass the standard output as a jail.conf and
Nice.
require the script or even custom executable to exit with exit status 0. Otherwise, it treats as an equivalent to a syntax error if the command crashes with
So
the
like
exit code.
in that case, I can have a jail.conf. That's a Python script.
Yes, or something which queries an SQLite database.
Yeah, that's very nice for like when you're doing like kind of some large orchestration.
Or even something which is a shell script which auto allocates something on first start.
Okay. Okay,
But
that
that's
makes
an
sense.
extension which I'm tinkering with on my lab machine. I have a slight improvement here to make some of the useful path information like the base directory name, the base, just the name of the file, the full path, and so on available as environment variables so that you don't have to do a bunch of annoying stuff. But in the script again and again, just so that the scripts can be even shorter. But because it's not available right now, I've written this jail.conf I put in the chat. The 3 links up in the chat. So you can see that, Antonik?
Yes. 1, 2.
Or I could just take the screen share and demonstrate.
There you go.
So this is a jail.conf, which when executed, uses package base to install the jail with a fairly minimal user, but quite useful user length.
Nice.
So it trims down the user length to 200 megabytes or so. And yeah, it doesn't require anything beforehand in the jail. Just the
So
jail
you just specify the
configuration.
path.
Yes, the path is derived from the jail name, so it's /jail's jail name. If you go to the very top of the file, it should be there.
So just to be clear, we could also do this in Lua, couldn't we?
Not really.
No?
Because the jail.conf, you could put Lua as a here kind of in there, but the jail.conf always runs the hooks as shell code.
It's always shell, right?
What you could
what
do.
it basically does is it takes the string value and runs it with /bin as h-c.
Let me try something. So I'm gonna stop. Is the wiki using the new format? It is. Jailer stop wiki. Good. Then I'm gonna do. Hello there dot Lua. Can anyone remind me Lua? I want to say print like this. Is that how they print? I guess. Lua print string. Yay, great. Okay. So print general Kenobi. Great. Okay. So then I should be able to do which Lua, nothing, but user
libexec.
Flua, there we go. So that's the one. And if I do hello there, great. Okay, that's nice. But if I take this and I put it in wiki and say pre-start, why not? Then I can have that, I guess. And maybe I should do etcjail.conf.d just to
So you can invoke the Lua interpreter with a script or as an argument.
Wiki, right? I think I'm doing it right. I think I'm not doing it right. I don't know. Let's see. It worked. It actually
worked. Can you
worked.
show me the jail.conf again?
Yes. What was its name? Wiki.
And you used the libexec where?
Here.
Yeah, that of course works.
Yeah.
You probably want to use exec there as well, just to make it even clearer that you
Yeah.
want to replace the shell.
But of
You
course,
can
the problem
also, if you
is,
want to make it, you could also do the following. You put an exec in there, the beginning,
we want to
and then the first
name.
let me check.
And org v1. Come on, Stack Overflow. I still believe in you. Okay, it's org. So what? Org what? Just org 1? Anything? As you can see, my Lua is limited to reading, not writing.
So what you can do is you can invoke it with -e to execute code. And
Okay.
then you can kind of put it in there. Or you could potentially make it more readable by using a HEREDOC in shell. And then trying to execute whatever file descriptor, fd3.
And here I can do org 1, I think. Okay, welcome to Neil. That's very cute. Welcome to hell. Okay, that's good. So then I can do jailer stop wiki, jail-c wiki. Execute. Oh, now it didn't work. Why? What did I do wrong?
Try to execute jail with -v. You get the. Let's have a look.
Exec, fluent, argument, and argument. I guess it should have worked. Maybe if I remove the exec, it should work. Right? Go for it. Yeah, it did. There you go. Welcome to Wiki. The exec didn't work. I don't know why. I copy pasted your code and it didn't compile. So yeah, I mean that's also a way of. But you know what this means? Like I would want to do like something like name and I don't know, ID and the bridge, and it is just. Can we just export these values as an environment variable when executing the script? You know, like that.
Discussion.
Yeah, I know we've had that discussion. So yeah, and there is of course a security issue there as well, like security-wise. Yeah, there's also security advantage, like you can have secrets saved in the jail conf. So you could pass it down to the jail, kinda, instead of saving it somewhere. So I don't know. There's different ways of doing that.
Welcome, Creighton.
Hello, Creighton.
The way to avoid security issues from arbitrary environment variables is to prefix them, for example, with jail _. Then you assume that this prefix doesn't hold any special meaning to anyone else.
Yeah.
And then you can't mess with $path or whatever, or LD preload or other things like that. And the other question is, what do you want to defend against? Because by its very design, jail.conf can run arbitrary shell scripts on the host as root.
Yeah.
So if you have write access to the jail configuration, you've won.
Phil, one more question. So, so something like Unohost, these applications, like, are they Docker installed or script installed?
I don't know yet. I'm gonna download it and see what it actually has behind the scenes. I'd used it like years ago, and then someone was mentioning, "Hey, we're using it." And I'm like, is there a FreeBSD version that does it well? I mean, right now I don't know what the best way is, and I don't know exactly what the modules are.
Yeah, on a regular computer. Okay, well that's cute.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm going to start as, because I have an old workstation that is going to be plenty capable, and that's going to be the easiest option for me to test it.
And you can have domain management. That's cute.
I think it's a pretty cool idea, Phil. I'd be really keen to see how this evolves and keep us sort of posted. For the next, we've got a hackathon in July, and
we do
in Berlin. Yep, we do. You're totally welcome.
Where?
In Berlin.
In Berlin. Okay.
Berlin. I'll send you the link. Anyone's invited. Like, really, it's this is what we live for, isn't it? Let me just grab a link here.
Yes, please.
Where do I drop it? I drop in the minutes.
You can drop it there. Yes.
Yeah. We just might need a bigger space eventually.
Berlinian Hackathon. That's nice. That's very nice.
So
Dave.
they're hosted at the Chaos Computer Club Berlin.
Who's organizing?
I think Tom Jones, what?
Yeah, Tom, myself, Robert.
That's nice. Activities in Berlin?
Stuff you can do, like where to get food.
Oh. Very nice. Well, that's amazing. That's very nice. Yeah. The Signal group is also a good idea. I was also going to ask if there's like a Discord or IRC specifically for that event.
Yeah, and Matrix as well.
Oh, yeah.
There's also another one in, when's the next one? In Canada. No, this one's in Norway, end of August. I can't make that, but Oslo.
Yeah.
And there is another one. Where is the next one? The other one after that. There's one in Kitchener at the end of Europe, at the end of BSD Can. So 16th to 20th for those of you in the North American world.
Yeah.
Let me drop that in. They're always listed. Yeah, there we go. I'll drop that into our chat thing here as well.
It's interesting that we haven't done these during the conferences.
Yeah, there's more of them. There's been more of them now. This year in particular has been an explosion of people being organized.
Yeah.
OpenBSD has a quite long tradition of hackathons.
They literally invented the word. They literally invented the word hackathon.
Yep. I know. And sure.
You know, before VC people started doing it for money and then giving prizes to 18-year-olds, you know. But yes. And is there a topic, by the way?
Whatever you bring, it doesn't disturb the others.
You just come along and do your stuff, and hopefully you coerce other people to do stuff as well. So my thing is going to be Pod Mini JLE related. I've got a couple of things in mind. One of them is if I'm not scared of all the Go code in Podman, to see if we can make a network, a container network driver that just says, use this thing I was told to by FreeBSD. Like for me, it's the big thing that I missed today is I have an existing network set up for my jails, and I do not want to rewire all of my production networking at the same time as I implement containers. I'd rather move to containers and stick with my existing networking where I know my security and stuff and routing and all those things works. That's one. And the other thing is look at Podman API to see if I can wrap my Elixir cluster library around Podman containers. So you can do, this is what I originally started off with jails was I need a cluster of jails where I can say, make sure at least 3 web servers are up and have HA proxy or something else like that. Know which ones are up and update that regularly. So
let me ask you a question. If you have So in an ideal world, what I would do is I would have 3 hosts,
Yeah.
each host running a copy of the, let's say, the Django application. But where would your HA proxy or Nginx be?
So you have to have one on each host. So the general structure I have is a bit like a closed network. I don't know if you've run into these before, but it's where you've got, it's like a mesh. Every host connects to every other host.
Yeah.
So the general outline I have is I have BGP at the front. Each node runs HA proxy, and you have a little script that says if HA proxy is up, tell BGP we're ready. We're ready to accept traffic. And HA proxy then starts up and goes, okay, query the 3 servers that have jails, ask them what jails they have, build my routing table off that, and then start routing traffic and keep updating that every few seconds.
Okay, but when traffic is coming from the internet, to which host does it come to? All 3 of them based on BGP?
Yeah, you have to do some BGP stuff for that. So you have 2 broad choices. Choice 1 is to do this with DNS routing, maybe GeoDNS or maybe just DNS stuff, and have a very short lifespan on that. And option 2 is to use BGP to do it, but have your nodes spread quite far apart, so that like say Singapore, Europe, and North America, so that you're always significantly closer to one node than another.
I see.
And while that's not supposed to work, it actually works really well. And there's a third option, which is where you run, this is what I call sort of Hetzner style. You run 1 or 2 sort of HA proxy instances, and their job is to replace the sort of the fancier BGP setup. And then you've got to figure out your own failover type stuff for that. But most cloud providers will provide something like that out of the box these days.
Okay. Because I know a very large organization that was bought by another very large organization, and they were using FreeBSD very famously, and they were doing it over CARP because 2 of the machines were in the same network. So they're like, okay, so machine A, machine B, both of you are listening to the same IP. When then CARP is going to handle the failover. When it comes to the they were doing pure TCP. There wasn't much of reverse proxy, but
traffic shuffling, that's actually quite fine. My thing with CARP is BGP is just a lot nicer to deal with.
Definitely.
So the difference is that CARP only works on the same layer 2. So you basically do it on the last hop inside a VLAN, and it's quite dumb. It only moves the IP address. If you have a very particular switch configuration, you can make it load sharing and usable, but normally it's active passive failover.
Yeah.
And what you would then do is you put your HA proxy or whatever smarter proxy on the machine with the virtual IP address, so the DNS entries and so on, or even manually configured IP addresses don't have to change frequently. And then you get shorter failover times. Or if you have control over your routing, you can instead announce the virtual IP address via whatever routing protocol you use, be that OSPF or BGP, used as an IGP.
I have a very stupid question. Can you do, I mean, I've done it before. I don't see why not doing CARP over jails, right?
With VNet jails, that should work.
Of course. Do you know why I'm asking this? It would be perfect for blue-green deployments. So when you're deploying a new version of the same application, it gets an IP address, and then over CARP, it just changes its priority to a lower number. And now it's like, okay, now I'm the master. So all of the traffic.
Same host.
Yeah, on the same host.
You can do something even easier. You just change your IP configuration in alias jail, and you avoid all the inefficiency of VNet jails. You just change the set of IP addresses with jail-m.
I know you can do the modify. I mean, that's very common but
Yep.
but like loopback, not loopback, sorry. Traditional jail IP management has a whole other problem, which is like, okay, now I have to configure SSH properly on the host, so I don't listen on all of the IPs, etc., etc. You know.
Only if you want port 22 for the jails, or if you even want the jails to run an SSH server with the PAM SSH module, for example, you
No, no,
can
no, no.
use the host
SSH was
SSH.
an example. SSH was an example.
Okay.
But like, you know, like you have to take care of all of those things. While in VNet, I don't have to take care of any of those things. That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
I'm gonna try this. Give me a second. Jailer snap wiki. Okay. Jailer create. I swear to God, I have a syntax for it. I think it's whatever, that's the latest. So that's today. Okay. So sorry, jailer create -s that, not that, this. And then let's do -address. I'm going to hard code the address for now.
Are you about to create a jail from a clone?
Yes. 24. What comes after that? I don't remember my own tool. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
Does it have a help message?
Yes. Okay. Oh, bridge, of course. Type ePair bridge, and the bridge is bridge 0. Am I right? Or not? Seems like I am. Yes. Okay. How about this? This seems fine, as far as I can tell. Create. Oh, without debug. Create. Come on, you can do this. I believe failed. Oh, God knows what I did wrong. And it says done. Amazing. Software bugs everywhere. You should never be allowed to write software, honestly. Jail-v-c, I want to say, oh, I know what the issue is. No, I don't know what the issue is, sorry. Jail-v-c, wiki new, go for the wiki new not found. Okay, ZFS list, grep wiki. There's just one of them. Okay, so at least my rollback is working fine. That's good to know. I have no idea what would make it not work. Wiki, and then wiki turns into wiki new. This is correct. This might not be correct. Yeah, that might not be correct. What is it that's not correct? It's here. The ID is 12. That might not work for some reason. Is there? Yeah, there's already an ePair 12. That's why. 12A. Oh, yeah, of course. Now it makes sense. Okay. In that case, I'm gonna do, and apologies for taking a while. Haven't maintained this server in a while. Collabora, stop. Yeah, okay. And now if I do this, it should work fine. I think so. Go for it. And come on, create it. Okay, now it's good. So let's split. Jailer console wiki new, jailer console wiki, if config. My deepest apologies. I don't know how to configure corp, but I swear to God, I've blogged about it. And my browser died. Literally, my browser died. Good job, Apple. So if Apple has bugs, I'm not going to be mad about my jailer. Okay. Corp. The command should be this, whatever this is. So it would be like if config ePair 12, ignore. ePair 12b, inet, VHID. You know what? I'm just going to copy this. Okay. Can I use, for example, 10.00.10? Yes, I can. Okay. Alias 10.00.10/24. Okay. Here you go. Less than what? Oh, sorry, I forgot the number. So let's say 10. Permission denied? What? What?
Maybe Carpe doesn't work in a VNet jail? Or you have to configure it on the host before you move it over?
Allow Carpe and disable virtual host remain in initial state. Neither. Okay.
Try it
Log.
on the host without a jail, just manually.
Try it on the host without a jail manually. Okay, I see what you mean.
Just test it outside of the jail.
So I'm gonna.
Is this an alias jail or a VNet jail?
These are VNet jails. Sorry, these are VNet jails. This is a VNet jail. Maybe I should do it this way. Apologies. And this is a VNet jail. Both of those are VNet jails.
Mhm.
But yet, when I ran this command, so okay, if config ePair b inet VHID advertisements queue pass alias and an IP address. Why would the why? Why?
Try it outside of a jail if the same command works there.
Let's do this first.
Oh, if you haven't loaded the kernel module, of course.
I have
You
not.
can't
No.
load the kernel module.
Good point. Okay. Well, in that case, it worked. Okay, that's good. So let's do curl on a local host just to see what it brings. Oh, of course, I don't have curl. Apologies. Curl. Okay, I do have curl. Let's do curl on this address and see what we get. Do we get anything? We get something. We get specifically, we get a wiki page. Okay, that's good. And then if here I do the almost the same command, right? Almost the same command. But of course, this is my new jails, so just the ePair name is different. Okay. And in this case, it's going to be 101. Okay. Seems fine, right? Yeah, it does seem fine. I see no issue with this. So let's do this. Let's do so. And how would I differentiate? I know how. User local. Let's see. No, sorry. User local docu wiki. I want to say index PHP. Yay! I have no idea how this works. Who here knows PHP good enough to change the main page? Oh, wait, I know data. Data index. Yes. Yes. Okay. Not that index though. I think it's called pages. And then it's called one of these, I guess. I'm gonna go with oh, I have a better idea. Let's just do that. Let's just do vim vi or yeah, vi. Actually, let me do any of this. It's just text, right? Yeah, it's just text. Okay, so cat into hello.txt. Hello from WikiNew. Okay, so now if I do that slash, I want to say hello. Hello from WikiNew. Okay. How do you mute this thing? Curl, don't make noise. S? Yeah, there we go. Okay, great. So, use a local DokuWiki pages. I swear to God. No, data pages. And the same one, echo to hello.txt. Antronic, why are you dumb? Cat. Hello from wiki old. Okay. So this is wiki new. Then I'm going to do this and just change it to 99. Enter. Now we still get that. But that one is still the master for some reason. But I lowered mine. Yeah, right. I lowered my number. Shouldn't that make me the master?
Did you allow preemption?
I don't remember. I don't know also what the default is. So
I think the default is
yeah.
to not preempt. So maybe stop the old one or the new
I
one, depending
see.
on. And then it should fade over quickly.
Or not cap, carp. Here there should be, there we go. There was, oh, there you go, preempt. Yeah. Yeah. I could do that. I could do that. Or I can do it manually, right? If I remember correctly. There we go, state. It's called state. So here at the bottom, I can do VHID1 state master. Now it is doing init. I have no idea what that means. Oh, sorry, not VHID1, it was VHID10. My apologies. Master. Okay, now I'm the master. And now we get, okay, yeah, there we go. So green blue deployments using carp might actually be a good idea. Might, keyword being might. So yeah, you can easily do that apparently. Go out, jailer, stop, wiki, and also wiki new. Start wiki. Jailer destroy wiki new. Lovely. Okay. And now I get, well, it probably hasn't, I don't know. Oh, of course, that's the other IP. See, that's the virtual IP, not the real IP. Yeah. Okay, makes sense. Anyways, that was a good thing to try, I guess, to know that it works. I don't know, maybe I'll just put here, Antronic. Carp over jails works. Make sure to load the kernel module from the host. Could be useful for blue-green deployments. Okay. I like that. How do people do it in the OCI ecosystem? They just shut down and start the other?
Yes and no. It depends on what exactly you're doing. The OCI ecosystem on its own doesn't really address this.
Of course.
But if you have something like Kubernetes, you will say something, okay, let's take this over. And now your traffic controller, whatever it is,
resulting in a short period where the application is basically down. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, if you do it like that, but you can have some kind of an ingress controller.
Yeah.
Which is basically a fancy name for a reverse proxy.
Yeah,
or port forwarding or whatever.
yeah. Yeah, basically they're doing it on the, on TCP/IP with like traffic or the cute one. What was his name? It starts with the letter C. I keep forgetting his name. Caddy and stuff like that,
Yeah.
right?
Traffic, Caddy, HA proxy, Nginx, there are tons of tools you could use.
Yeah. I don't know if you can do it with Nginx dynamically though.
Depends on how you define dynamically. I think with the non-commercial version of Nginx, you
You have to do a
write it
reload.
to a file and then reload.
Yeah.
With HA proxy, there's definitely a Unix socket API to do that.
Oh, that's nice.
I think the same is true for traffic. I don't know about Caddy.
Okay.
And then you get into annoying things like how do you deal with currently established connections? Do you serve a request to completion, or okay, that may work for a little wiki or something where file transfers are normally very short. But what happens if it's, I don't know, your LDAP server where you can have multi-day connections?
Yeah.
At some point, you have to terminate the old connections because you can't run. And yeah, what I dug out there is the CNI provider specification. And the next link down is a bash script written for Linux and Kubernetes to implement a minimal CNI provider. So
I see.
Dave, you don't have to write Go to run your own or write your own CNI provider for Podman.
And then it's doing like the bridge CTL and whatever the information that it gets.
Exactly. It just gets a bunch of CLI arguments, environment variables, and I think a config file on standard input or something like that. So it's fairly scripting friendly. Unlike the CSI, so container storage interface, which is I think gRPC. So whoever wrote this the first time basically got to pick their tool set. And then it got standardized, and now everyone is forced to use the same protocol if they want to claim compatibility.
So, but the thing is that like Dave's idea of load balancing, when he was talking about it, it was like on the global scale, right? Like one in Singapore, one in Europe, one in the US. And that's a nice one, I guess. Yeah, definitely. Because like whichever one goes down, you will find one that's close enough. And then with CARP, you would do it when you're on the same link layer too.
Yeah, and I would argue that what CARP is the stopgap measure you use when you have to deal with a static network and have to do it on the last hop. So it makes sense for something like your default gateway on an access network, where all the other systems, basically via DHCP, learn the default gateway and DNS resolver, maybe NTP server or whatever, and then are pretty dumb and you have no control over them or the network. But if you have control over the network and the end systems, like you should for a FreeBSD jail host in a bigger deployment at least, then you can make use of dynamic routing protocols and you don't have to fight the network. Instead, you can make the network work for you, and you would redistribute the connected jail IP addresses into your IGP routing protocol. And yeah, it can scale a lot better. For example, you don't have to have a flat network for things to work. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this answers a lot of my questions, but I still don't know how to move forward with the what's his name? With my image problem that I keep having.
So
yeah.
In my opinion, the image doesn't make sense because what you're looking for is a file system.
Mhm.
The image is at best an archive describing a file system, or you can directly mount the archive, like TarFS.
But the question that still raises for me is how do you create an image? Like that
Oh.
question is still very
Let me
not
take a
solved for
screen share
me.
for a second.
Take your time. And I'll also show you, before you do that, let me show you what I still have for now, which isn't as good as I want it to be. But Philip, your opinion here might be very useful, by the way.
Oh,
Can you
by the
all
way,
see
I've
my
always
screen?
liked your command line here with all the details in it.
Which one?
Well, what you have on the screen right now,
Oh, that's mine.
the username at all this.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
jail.conf.
DHS with all my DHS.
It's ZSH config I accumulated over the years.
Yeah.
It even does things like if I
So, Antronik, for the image, are you talking about a jail image or a container image? Like how to create which one?
right now I don't have any jails, right? And so I'm now running the jail.conf I brought up like half an hour ago. Group, it just finds the packages,
Yep.
fetches them from the CDN, so it's not that fast because I'm not using my local cache. So now it installs first a minimal set because of a missing dependency,
Mm-hmm.
so that it doesn't complain that OpenSSL isn't installed by the time it tries to index the root CA list. Then it does the installation without complaining. Now I'm cleaning the cache so that the jail is a bit smaller. And that's it.
Yep.
So now if I stop the jail, it's done. And if I start it again,
Because it exists, it will just start.
because this time this script is clever enough not to redo all the work.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay, so here's what I have. Yeah, I know you're basically turning this into a tarball, and that we can
and
call.
that's what all the stuff. Basically, the OCI images are the same. They're basically tarballs.
Yeah. Here's what I have,
Mhm.
which I don't know how people feel about it.
Mhm. It's a shell
Name.
script.
It is a shell script. Name. From, which I still don't know how this is going to be used in the future. Version could be useful. Health check, I'll show why. This is the build process. So like, okay, so from default, then you do, install this, copy that, do this. Now the jail has been built. Now this is the image, right? And then when the jail starts, well, there's nothing to do because, the service has been enabled, right? Like in a Docker mentality, you would do like run, not run, the last command. What's it called? I want to say endpoint
Command.
Yes.
CMD or endpoint.
Yeah. So in this case, you don't need to do that because by default, it's going to boot an operating system. So, Nginx is running. Sure. So then there's health check, which is like, okay, I'm going to run this thing every 10 seconds. And I'll let you know if the return value is not 0. And then I still don't know what to do with this. This is a bunch of variables that I have. Like here is my log files, could be a list of files, and here's my log directories. I had the idea like maybe you can do like jailer logs, name of the jail, and it will like automatically tail all of these for you. and now you can see all of the logs in front of you, kind of. There is also run, if you want to do an actual run. It has to return 0 to know that the jail has started properly. And then this is something that the OCI ecosystem doesn't have, but I need it, which is defining tracing points. So for example, if you're running a Java application, it would be like, hey, run JDB. So now I can debug my application, and defining the debug endpoints in here, in this function.
What's so special about debug endpoints that you don't have a generic kind of exported command interface?
Good. Two things. Number one is I realized that there's two ways of doing this. Number one is the basic way, which I just explained. So for example, if you have a C application, you want to attach GDB to it, right? Like something basic like that, right? But the other one is I'm doing the tracing from the outside to the inside using dtrace. Because the inside will not be able to run dtrace for security reasons. Then here I can define some kind of dtrace hooks or probes rather. So I'm like, hey, whenever I do like jailer trace the jail name, execute the following in here. So I will be basically, seeing the crucial information for me. Or it could be like, crucial information for this specific application, if that makes sense. Like if I'm running eJabberD, then I want to trace Erlang in here. If I'm running Tomcat, then I'm gonna detrace Java in here, right? And then of course the saddest news is that Python is removing dtrace, but that's a story for another day. So this is my idea of what a jail file would look like. A jailer file, sorry, I should rephrase that. But this generates an image. So should...
What's an image?
Exactly.
So, and again,
because I'm sorry, Jan. Currently, for me, download what an image is where are you? There we go. Is this? This is what an image is for me right now. The base.txt. Yeah, exactly. But is this an image or is it not? Like that's the question that I'm stuck at.
Yes, it is. The table is the image, and then you have to materialize that as a local file system. In theory, you could mount the tar as is in FreeBSD 14, but there are performance downsides to really using the tar file system. It's not really meant for big file systems because tar is like the worst format you can design for mounting.
Yeah.
Because all the headers are interspersed with the files. It's just messy and slow. Even with a bit of caching, it's not fast.
So Jan, here's a question.
To actually use MKFS, sorry, MakeFS.
Yeah.
And instead create a UFS file system and use the UFS 1 or 2 file system as your distribution format if you wanted to do it from scratch for FreeBSD, or a ZFS replication stream.
ZFS would be the simplest idea, of course.
Which the latter is what Podman does. It just uses ZFS replication streams as its image format. Yeah.
So here's the question: when a user says from default, is that my base? Is that FreeBSD installed via package base? Like these are the questions that keep me up at night. Hello. So we did carp, and carp worked, of course, with the note that you have to load the kernel module from the host because the GL can't load the kernel module, and it was very nice for blue-green deployment. So you would be like, okay, now this GL has higher priority, so now it is the one responding to that IP. I mean, typical carp.
But where do you put the health check to decide that the new thing that's been deployed is working? Because this is why I use HFS.
Yeah. Then we got into the conversation of like a jailer file, which
do that by setting its priority lower so that it does not preempt the current one until it passes the health check.
Yeah.
And you can also just, if it's all on the same host, you don't have to use carp. Carp is only needed if you want to share a virtual IP address between multiple hosts on the same VLAN.
Yes, or multiple GLs on the same bridge.
To me, it sounds like it would be much
bridge,
easier
VLAN,
to
whatever
use
terminology you like.
What? You what?
It would be much easier to use HA proxy.
Yes.
All designed to do
also,
that, and it happens to be quite good at it, or Nginx or anything like that.
Oh, I realized my question. Okay, I just remembered my question. Okay, so Dave, in OCI, they have scripts that build the operating system, right? So your typical Podman file, Docker file, etc.
Yeah.
FreeBSD has a tarball, which is base.txz. But now we also have package base.
Yeah.
That's my problem. Is that for me, do I generate everything from package base or from base.txz? Or is that a user question?
It makes no difference. It depends on how much space you want to waste.
Okay.
There is, I wrote this down the other day. But maybe not in this. Where did I put? I remember writing this down, going, "That's going to be super handy," but I can't find it now. You can bootstrap. So there's two ways to do this. One of them is just to go. Actually, we can share right now my HedgeDoc thing, which doesn't work.
Yes, please.
Share it. So we're going to move these two windows over.
And Philip, as soon as I have the answer to that question, I will easily be able to port, let's put it that way, Unohost to FreeBSD. Basically change the backend to use jails.
Okay. Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, so let me just quickly share this. So so basically, HedgeDoc is this thing that I use and I love. And when you install it, HedgeDoc installs about 20,000 Node.js files.
Yeah.
And it's just not possible to maintain this in ports because you go quietly insane and it's not reproducible, and every week is a different type of reproducibility problem. And there's a lot of ways around that, but it was my ideal candidate for podmanizing, if that's a word.
Okay.
So I took this. This is my instructions here. It doesn't really matter what they are, but it's pretty basic stuff. Install some FreeBSD things. Fetch the tarball and unpack it. Do some Node.js yarn stuff. Install some more Node.js yarn stuff. Change some permissions. Install an rc.d file. Enable the daemon. Fix up a few things and you're good to go. So I thought, well, why don't we just containerize this? And I've been working away on that. But this is kind of pretty typical of what I would expect we would do. Am I sharing it or not?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So let me just switch to my other.
So the FreeBSD runtime at the top where it says from FreeBSD.
Just a second.
So for Docker, the idea is that you kind of can include another file like that, and then you just run that.
Is that FreeBSD runtime 14.3? Is that package base or not?
Yes, and I'm about to demonstrate why. Because afterwards,
package base or is that
missing from package base?
That's with package base, the runtime stuff, or is that the OCI images which fall out of the third way to release artifacts?
The OCI images that we published as part of 14.3 release are built with package base and include the magical package base file. So you can just go and install Matrix package base tool.
So if I say that Jailer will support only package base, now I can completely forget about base.txz, and for me, everything is now package base.
Yeah, so you saw Jan's enormous shell script that does this. you can do the same thing with an empty directory. So I wish I could find where I put this. It's super annoying because I remember doing it just the other day. I can't find it, but you can bootstrap package from an empty directory on a system that already has package.
Mm-hmm.
So you just basically go, you need to tell it the ABI and the OS version. So package these days is smart. It looks at bin.sh and a bunch of other files to see if it can figure out what architecture and what platform you're running. But obviously an empty directory doesn't have that. So with Jailer, you'd go package install, why are these packages in that directory? And it just does it. Let's see if we can do this here. Root is the main one. Not quite. Yeah, it's not what I want. I have too many systems that I've been doing this on, but this one's pretty close. Let's just make a directory called say package base, and just borrow this. I think this is mostly what you need. ABI equals 14. That'll do. Root attempts is what do we call it? Package base. Package base. And we need to change this from. We need to go R.
The repository name. Yeah.
And then we want to install runtime will do. Maybe we need to go install.
Okay.
And from memory, that's mostly what you need. Wrong architecture. What am I doing wrong here? Package contains packages with wrong ABIs.
You're on 13, it's on 14?
No, I'm on 15 dot something.
Okay.
That's definitely today. Where is it getting these from? Oh, hang on, there's two things here. There's some bad bad said there. Okay, what's latest? That should be fine. Why isn't it doing that? Why isn't that working?
I think it should be in the user local Etsy PKG repos.
Yeah, it must be there.
pkg.conf. That's kmods. What about the other file? That's interesting.
Private repo stuff. Yeah. So I don't have package base on here yet. Maybe I must have been doing this on my laptop then. That explains why I can't find it. Anyway, you get the picture. Aside from actually getting it right, that's basically what you need.
Okay.
And I'll put this in the IRC channel because it's quicker. And when it actually works.
Dave, could you drop the notes on how to install Hedgehog in the chat of this call?
Yeah, it doesn't work yet though. So it gets pretty close, and then I run to how far did it get? Let's have a look here. So this time, so it's actually pretty cool. What you need to understand is that each step happens in its own isolated container, and it can cache them. So it knows that I did the package base install previously, and says here, I'm just going to use the cache. Then it installs the node stuff, makes the directories, blah, 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 does the node things. Sometimes the jail isn't finished. How do I best describe this? The jail hasn't shut down in time before the command is finished. I don't know what the problem is. It's some sort of race condition. So I just add sleep 1 to the end of it.
So something runs in the background. And the foreground process exits before the background stuff is finished.
Yeah, but I don't understand why it can't wait till all the processes have died. It seems like that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, maybe you would have to do that. Just run PS in the loop until there's nothing unexpected in there or something.
Yeah. So what do we get down here? Fail with errors. This is probably because it doesn't have like OpenSSL or something in it. We're running.
Is there some documentation how to get your full jail user land via OCI tools?
Well, if you
3.5 gigabytes.
You just got to install all the packages, which is you do the R query.
Okay. For all, you don't even have to do that. You would just do package install -g FreeBSD-star on the right repository.
Yeah, I don't want to do that because generally I leave out all the debug, all the lib32 stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that saves you like 2/3 of the space. You can also you can often not include
90% can be dropped without losing the stuff you need to run a useful jail. 90% can be or more.
Yeah.
So if you look at what I just put in the chat, my jail has a used size of 174 megabytes, logically used 300, and otherwise it's 3.5 gigabytes or so. So yeah.
Well, the question is, what are the packages which would mimic base.txz?
Yes and no. That's not really the useful question, because base.txg includes a bunch of stuff you will almost certainly not use in a jail, especially when you care about the disk size of your resulting jail, which is why I recommend you look at the jail.conf I shared.
Yeah.
This one, I will just post it again, because there I wrote the code to run a remote query against the FreeBSD base package repository to basically search for all the FreeBSD base packages, and then by globbing exclude stuff I don't want. Like I don't care about 32-bit libraries. I don't care about debug symbol files. I don't care about development headers in a jail, at least normally. I don't want the kernel in the jail, because what am I supposed to do with that? I don't need the bootloader. I don't need the compiler and linker and so on, or the full-featured debugger. I can always install them as needed. Nor do I need a rescue tools installation, or the sources, normally at least. And that really trims it down a lot. And then you get your jail, as I just demonstrated 20 minutes or so ago. You get a working jail within a minute or two, or less than a second when you run it the second time.
And Dave, when it's creating the container, I assume that's also a jail.
Yeah, it's literally a jail. So you can put a pause in there if you want, like run pause, and then JExec inside and do jaily stuff. So that's kind of the really big takeaway from all the Podman stuff is it's a lot of very smart tooling around jails. And that was the key thing that persuaded me. At runtime, it's still just jails. We're not doing anything unusual. I still think in the back of my mind, I'm wondering maybe what I want is a Lua script that does the equivalent of Podman pull all the layers, unpacks them into a directory, and then just dumps them where my jail tools expect them. That's probably 90% of my tooling I want. I really like how quick it is to write a container file and get it working. It's a very iterative process. It's not necessarily reproducible, but most of the stuff I deal with doesn't really need to be reproducible. It's sufficient to make the package and store that somewhere. Yeah.
I see. Well, there's also the idea, like, because I was talking with an AWS friend, let's put it that way, right? Who was like, hey, if someone made an image from a container file, and then I pull the image, everything is working fine. But there's a very large chance that I try to build the same image and it just doesn't work. Because at that moment in time, something might have changed.
Yeah. So I've been talking to some other people who have this problem for commercial purposes. And my suggestion here is to run your own package repository. So basically, you need to go make packages from your source tree, which makes packages, I guess. You can specify a repo dir, and it'll just put them in a directory, and it's a usable package repo. Then you do your Poudre stuff. I should show you people this because I don't think people have seen it. But you can put package hooks in. Let me just show you this here again. And there's two
hooks or triggers?
Hooks, specifically hooks. So I've got this in an Ansible repo, but we can look at the production one. Poudre hooks. So I've got 3 hooks here in one config file with the secrets in it. So this is half of this is based off work that Brooks Davis did a while back. When you run Poudre bulk, blah, 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 at the end of it, we record the architecture by looking at the actual package. And we sync these up to my S3 bucket, my private package repo, using a tool called S5CMD. S5CMD imports, and it's much, much faster than the other S3 copy files. It does more stuff in parallel. I copy all the files I need, and they end up in the right directory for each architecture. So I've got an AMD 64 and an ARM64 one. That's not so interesting. That's pretty straightforward. At the end of your bulk run, if it was successful, so case status and done, then copy all the files up. The interesting one is the package repo bit. This happens after the packages have been built, before they've synced, and just before they've signed the packages. And so what I do here is say, okay, I've got a bunch of custom built packages, and in this case, they could be our FreeBSD package base files that you've fetched, and you can put them in the same package repo, and then this is where I fetch them from my other stash. And it runs at sign time. And what this means is Poudre run is finished. It's created all the packages, and then the packages are being signed. Thank you very much. Then the packages are being signed, but you include in one repo the packages you built and your package-based stuff. So you don't have 2 things to manage. It's a little bit clunky as to how it's done, but it's really, really nice. And this is something that I haven't quite finished yet, writing up how it works. But the guts of it is package repo, copying your package-based stuff, the bulk run finishes, packages are signed, and then everything's uploaded, and you have a single repo with everything in it. And then coming back to your container file here, we only have to package install from one place, and everything gets done. And that way you're completely reproducible. And when someone comes along and says, how do you make your container file? Well, you go, here's my container file. Here's my one S3 bucket with all of our things in it, or some other immutable store that you have. You will get the same stuff every time, unless there's node stuff in there. That's really neat. That's, blog post in a month or 2, probably, once I get my other backlog of stuff done. But if anyone wants those just to have a look at, let me know, and I'll...
Thank you very much. That was very useful.
I would like to have a look at it, even if it's rough right now.
Cool. Maybe I write a draft blog post and just include the 2 files and no commentary.
Oh God. Okay.
Hmm?
But beware the menu decided to try the enshrintification and demo a lot of features for the free. Okay. That was expected. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so the container file stuff, I'm not a wizard. This Doug is much, much better. And I keep learning little tricks like using variables or layers and so forth. But yeah, Hedgehog, I hope, will be the first example of a container file on FreeBSD that people can just use. And I mentioned this in the notes in the call. What do people think about having a public FreeBSD repo like the ports tree, but for community contributed container files?
Oh, I'm building that right now.
Yeah, there we go. Well, tell me more. Because my idea was get another repo created at FreeBSD.
Yeah.
And just sort of.
So when I showed one of my friends the jailer file concept, and he's a Gentoo user, and he's like, oh, so like the porter tree. I'm like, yes, exactly. And then he said, well, you do realize that this is a very nice difference because in Docker world, people publish the binaries, so to say, right? They publish the images. But in Gentoo world, you publish the sources, the ebuild files, or in our case, the FreeBSD ports tree, right? So it's like, you could make this even more viable because you can just like host the ports tree of your jailer file instead of hosting the final binary. And there's, a big ecosystem of people who want to take your money just to host your final binaries of your images, while serving host files is like much, much, much cheaper. I would be very interested for that for two reasons, by the way. Number one is I can have a look at a container file and convert it to a jailer file. And number two, if I have a jailer file, I can convert it to a container file. So I could even like write a script that would do two-way migration,
It wouldn't surprise me if the Bastille people said, yeah, well, basically we had the same stuff as well.
Yeah.
I would probably start with the Podman stuff and then see what we need and see what could be added to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the Bastille template file. It's very clean. It has a lot of, what do you call that? A lot of, I'm trying to remember the word. A lot of influence. Yeah, influence from Dockerfile, which is very neat. I might think about changing mine as well, like making mine more like a Docker file, maybe even like one-to-one compatible. Wouldn't be a bad idea, actually. Yeah, I just like the idea of having a shell callback. Like, hey, here's a function that will execute during the start. Do whatever you want in that function name, and I will just execute it for you. Like there is, yeah.
Podman has hooks for this sort of stuff. Did I make any notes on hooks here? No, my only note is document the hooks. But I did make a hook. Do I have them on these things?
Oh, and I do remember the only thing that I didn't like from Bastille's template file is that in the template, you are able to modify the host. Like you can specify a mount point, or you can set up port forwarding and stuff like that. I don't like that. I want like I want a clear difference between a developer and an operator. I want the developer to do the developer container file thing, and then the operator to choose, hey man, I'm not gonna expose your port. Like you cannot force me to do that.
Yeah, that's. I think that separation is important.
Yeah, or like limits. I think they also have limits in their Bastille BSD templates, like this memory and CPU and other things. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll think. Yeah, Bastille's template is like a nice merge between Dockerfile and Docker Compose at the same time. It does two of these things.
There's another. I can't remember the name of the tool. I think it's Podman has this thing called like a Podman Compose called Podlets or Quadlets or something like that.
What is that?
Podman has this as well. So a lot of the Podman tooling will probably just work out of the box on FreeBSD now. but I just haven't had time to try it. And it's another equivalent of Docker Compose, but for Podman.
Okay.
I've been finding that Podman actually replicates a lot of Docker commands.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's been a one-to-one copy deliberately.
Yeah. I have are we still recording?
I think we are.
Okay, I'll just ask Michael.
Looks like recording's on.
Sure. So my biggest reason for not going into Podman or the OCI ecosystem is a political one, much less than a technical one, because just like they woke up one day and said no more X11, they might wake up one day and say like we don't care about other operating systems anymore. You know, that fear is very large for me. Of course, we can fork it. I mean, that's the beauty of it. But like, imagine investing that much time and then losing it, kind of.
Well, right now, if in the documentation I just saw sometime last week, it looks like they are purposely abstracting it. There was like the base operating system layer of sorts. It's somewhere in there, but it looks like a newer feature or something that's been coming along. Because really, Docker was supposed to be operating system agnostic. It just hadn't really turned out to be until maybe not even recently. But yeah, now it's like, because it seems like Podman was the tool to get the FreeBSD OCI containers happen.
Well, I can't speak for why Doug chose that particular tool, but in general, the whole thing with the OCI container stuff was that he approached a bunch of people and said, hey, if we bring this to FreeBSD, are you interested in that? And I guess they said, yeah, awesome. So Docker stuff moved very fast and was less concerned about standardization as gaining market share.
Yeah.
And Podman's approach, along with IBM and all of the other companies that leapt on this bandwagon, was this is a really useful technology, and we don't want, I guess they probably thought we don't have to pay for it. That would be my main guess. But it's really been, they're really concerned about compatibility and versioning and reproducibility, which is a great sort of community to be part of. And it just continually amazes me. I run Podman this and Podman that, and the stuff just works. I'm going, that is amazing. Kudos to Doug for his work on it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
the tooling and the general effort that's gone to make this relatively easy to do. Relatively easy being Doug has spent probably like 2 years duration on this at least. So it's not so easy, perhaps.
Yeah.
Anyway, time for me to go. I've got some other stuff coming.
Thank you very much, Uncle Dave.
I would need to send you my half-assed hedge as it is, and we can figure out what we need to do to finish that. I'll probably do it as a GitHub repo so that we can do PRs against it. And what was it? The package repo stuff for Yarn as well. The non-existent blog post. Awesome. Hey, talk to you later. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
What did I close?
Thanks, all. I'm also going to hop out. It's really helpful for this call to get updated info.
Oh yeah, a lot of things have changed in the last 6 months. Like Dave has done some amazing work. Doug has done some amazing work. It's really coming along very fast.
Package space is finally getting the attention by the release engineering team that it needs, so that we can take it serious as users. Because in 14.0 it was a bit rough at the beginning. It was added at patch level 3 and broke once when the tooling was modified. But for the last 2 releases, it has been reliable. So yeah, they have gained the experience how to use the tooling. Good.
Okay. Thanks. I'm going to hop out.
Thank you. Cheers.
Anthony?
Yes, dear.
Do you have a minute after the call?
Yeah, I also have a question for you. In Shell, we have getopt, which does a single letter getopt, so like dash one letter. If I want to do multiple letters, do we have any library in base when I'm writing a shell script?
Not in Shell. The question is, what semantics do you want? We can look at that.
Mm.
But that's not really helpful for this call, I think. We should just cut here, I think. Or do we have anything else on topic?
Any other questions, suggestions? Mark, Crichton.
Excuse me? I didn't hear my name.
No suggestions. Is the meeting still being recorded?
Yes.
Yes, I think we're
Okay.
done. So I'll type in there. Where is it? We should have a line that says adjournment. What time is it in UTC?
1855.
1855 UTC. Thank you all very much for coming. If you are watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. See you all next week.